Okay. I think probably the first person that I came out to was probably my mother, and her words to me were, okay.
What did you, lipstick on your teeth.
Mm-hmm. Do we have a napkin, perhaps? Yeah, I need that. Yeah, let me just run over there real fast. I think I expected her to say exactly that, you know? Since the age of, I think, 3 to 5, I was already dancing on her coffee table, singing at Christmas carols with all sorts of babushkas and fabulous gowns and all those type of things at that age. And was certainly expressing myself in a feminine manner, in a fabulous manner, and definitely is part of who I am today. I always said, I'm going to come out when I have my first boyfriend. My hormone levels were all over the place. I was discovering, my sexuality, my sexual preference, and kind of playing with all that. And it's a journey. It should be fun. It should be exciting. It should be fulfilling because, you're discovering who you are. For me personally, me and my father were quite close. Definitely more emotionally closer with my mother, hence why I probably went to her first because I felt more comfortable. But my father definitely was just as well as present in my life and was, deserved just as well as my mother did to know that, this was my condition, this is what my preference was, and you know what? Hands down, this is who I am. We went to Chili's. Love me a good old Tex-Mex, girl. I said, you know what, Dad, I have something that I want to go ahead and, speak to you about. And I just simply sat him down and I simply said, Dad, you know what? I like boys. And he looked at me and he gave me a very comforting smile. And like my dad has always told me, you know what? That's okay. If that makes you happy, that's all that I want for you in this life and for us as a family. And so I love you. I think for me in general, it's important for people to come out so that we can all have a voice and we can also all provide people with an outlet to feel accepted and also a source of support for each other. I think here in the LGBT community, sometimes we spread a little bit more hate than love, and if we want to receive love from the outside world, we definitely need to spread a little bit more within our own community. But before anything, we need to unconditionally love ourselves and know who we are. And so for me, that is why it's very important for one to go ahead and come out when you're ready. For me, I felt it was necessary for me to share the actual information with people that I was really close to. I think there's also a lot of people out there, as well as myself, who have struggled with gender issues or other issues. And maybe you're not sure whether you're homosexual, heterosexual, lesbian, transgender, bisexual, gender nonconforming, whatever you may be, just a creative kid, I think sometimes it's hard for people to put their nose on what exactly it is that they identify themselves as, and to be able to go ahead and come out as that one thing when you're not exactly sure, that can be a little bit difficult. I love LGBTQ across the world. I think it's one of the most beautiful things. I think the rest of the world has everything to learn from us and from our community. I think everything that we have to do starts within us. And what I would love to see change within our community is just the way that we treat each other. And remember that if we want to go ahead and expect love to come our way, we need to create a little bit more of that amongst ourselves first. We're all human. We all deserve respect. And we all deserve to be us. For those of you that saw me on the Drag Race, yeah, confidence is kind of part of my character, maybe sometimes too much. But you know what? I think for me, the number one thing that I appreciate about myself now is my comfort level. Honestly, after RuPaul's Drag Race, after now being 26 years old, after traveling the world, putting in my time in the LGBTQ community world, the drag world. You know, there's so much youth out there that is so inspired by what we do as artists, and I try everything that I can to use my platform to continue to inspire the youth, to continue to let children and teens and families know that, you know what, it's okay if you're not sure. It's okay if you're not certain. It's okay if you don't know whether you want to be a boy or a girl, put on boys' clothes or a wig, or paint your toes red. It really doesn't matter, because when we take all these labels and all these categories and things that society has planted in our brain, the best thing that we can be is ourselves. It sounds simple, but from personal experience, I know that it's really not. And I know that sometimes it can be super difficult to love yourself and to be confident or have a level of comfort with yourself. For me, it has not been the most easy, but you know what? I wake up every day. I remember that I'm living this life for myself, and I'm living this life to be happy and to please myself, not anybody else. Simple things like somebody calling you, for example, flamboyant, or out of the ordinary, or a freak, or a queen, or a queer. Those things are honestly just insecurities of other people. And you have to remember, thank God that you are a queer. Thank God that you are a freak, because there's some people out there that don't know who they are. And perhaps that person that called you that because they don't know who they are. The inner strength is the most important. The self-discovery is the most important. And never giving up is certainly the most important, because as soon as you give up, you've let yourself down. And in this life, the number one thing and the number one person here is you. So you need to remember, wake up, put those clothes on, whether they be male, female, contrary to your gender, contrary to maybe what your mother wants you to wear, contrary maybe to what your job is going to take as acceptable. When you have the moment, be yourself. And if you are already sure that you belong to the LGBTQ community, good for you, and keep up the fabulous work and being yourself, because as a community, we can change the world, and as a community, we can continue to make great things happen. Today, I think it might be a little bit obvious, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say the obvious. I think probably the biggest thing that our community is facing right here, right now, is fear. With the new presidential election and all the politics and all the news and all the things that are happening in the world, I think the LGBTQ community probably felt a month ago like we had come such a long way, and we had put in so much work, and we had done so much fighting, and we have, done so much as a community, not exactly yet where we need to be or where would be maybe ideal for you and I. And that kind of all maybe got taken away for some people, or that feeling of making progress as a community got taken away when these politics took place. But I want everybody to know that tomorrow is a bigger and better day, and tomorrow will be everything that you want it to be if you wake up with that in your mind and do everything that you can to go ahead and achieve that during your day. Now, 2017, after my experience traveling the world after RuPaul's Drag Race, and really seeing LGBT life around the world, it's really cool, and it's really fascinating to see how different communities work and what it really means to be a community in other places. And I think, for me, the most important thing is to love yourself and to be one with yourself. It's not even necessarily important to be certain about yourself or to be sure, or to be just, one way. I definitely, as Gia, am one activist that encourages everybody, of course, to come out, but before coming out, to do that self-discovery and to be certain what it is that we're coming out about. And if we need to come out again at a later point in our life as something else, that's completely fine. Or we don't even need to come out at all, and we can just go ahead and be happy, be ourselves, come out within ourselves. If that's what makes you happy, then that's the best thing that you can do. First and foremost, I want to thank VideoOut for considering me for this project. When I got the call and the invitation, I was so honored and I was so excited to be hearing about a project that's collecting the world's largest collection of coming out stories. And when I was informed, I said, oh my God, how can I not be a part of that? I was completely nervous to come here today. I didn't know what to expect. But I said, you know what? This is the start for something great. This is the start for me to be a true activist in my community, start opening up my mouth and sharing my word and my experiences with all of you. I think we all have so much work that we should be so proud of, but we do still have much more to do. So if you haven't started spreading the love, spreading the awareness, please do so now, because it's very important and it does start with us here in the LGBTQ community.